Welcome to the Real Life Moms podcast, where we put ourselves on the top of our to-do list. I'm Lisa Foster, your host, and today I am here with intuitive educator, transformation expert, and author Lynn Bunch. And we are going to explore emotional and ancestral patterns and why we do the things we do. Hi, Lynn. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Lisa. Thanks for having me. I just always say to have somebody that has such a platform for contribution is just huge. And so I applaud you for your efforts and what you're doing and bringing this into the consciousness of other people that really need that strong intuition to help them make decisions that are moving them forward. So thanks for doing what you do.
I appreciate that. Of course, it's a team effort here, and I'm
That's right.
so excited to get into what we're talking about
Oh, good.
today, emotional and ancestral patterns. And we talk
Yeah.
about intuition. You have a lot of that's a big background for you. So I'm sure
That's
it's
huge.
gonna.
So I'll give you like the brief little, I've been doing this for a long time, Lisa, probably going on 30 years. And I call myself an intuitive educator. I know everybody's, wow. So I have grandkids and all that good stuff. I'm pretty, let's see, I've tried and true, right? All of the things that I've offered, all the things that I do are something that comes through because me in educating people about intuition, I didn't want to be the person that knows it all, has all the answers. It's more like I want to educate you about what I know that is so deep within me and that I've had a passion for a really long time, and then educate you on how we can use it every day and how it's a practice of using your intuition instead of it being some crazy phenomenon. Because unfortunately, or fortunately, I think we have buried it, right? And we teach it out of our kids. We've had it taught out of us, but not because anything malice, just more like everyday life gets rough and we don't follow that. We don't follow that natural instinctual wisdom within us. And so I've been doing it for a long time and I am just so passionate, probably more passionate today than I was when I started doing this because I know it works. Right.
Yeah.
And I've developed a lot of concepts, a whole curriculum on it, just to really help you quiet that mind chatter and listen to the instinctual, intuitive side of you. It's really powerful work.
It sounds
Uh,
amazing. And I'm sure there's so much that goes into it. But the thing that comes into my head
yeah,
immediately, my intuition says,
I love this.
is basically trust, right? It's like you
Yes.
can quiet, but then you feel this, and nobody wants to make the wrong move. We're so scared of making the wrong choices. So that trust of actually following what you really feel. So how do you
It's
get
a
over
great,
that piece?
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a great question. And one that is really, it's pretty basic because once you actually you hone that ability. So I will hear and receive my messages. I'm not a hearing based. I'm sorry. I said hearing because a lot of people are. They're hearing based. They feel, and then some are visual.
Mhm.
I'm a knowing based, and so I call it the circuit, right? So the way in which you receive your messages come through those parts of us. And so as a knowing based, I'm going to really know something that I'm like, I don't really know it because had the education or the knowledge with it, or it's not going through my intellect. It's just really a strong knowing. And a lot of people are that,
Mhm.
right? A lot of people are hearing based, feeling based, that kind of thing. And when you really get connected within your own truth with that, you start trusting it because it never lets you down. It will never let you down. You can actually move away from it yourself, but you'll never be drawn from it if you're listening to it, and you'll have proof. I mean, you have a lot of proof because when you're making choices, making decisions, and you go, okay, in the physical world, it showed that your hunch or your intuition or your instinct was right. You start getting a pattern of, wow, that's what that feels like. And so each of us has a different way that resonates with us. And you begin to trust that quiet inner voice. It's almost like you and I don't know each other well, right? Because we just met. But if you have your best friend and all they have to do is say hello and you go, oh, that's Lisa or that's so and so, because you have a rhythm within your own vibration of the two of you coming together, and you know what that feels like, and you know the sound, and even you can sometimes even sense and feel if the person that you're really close to walks in the room, right? Well, your guidance, that inner wisdom, once you continue to trust it, develop it, use it, practice it every day, you go, ooh, I'm off or I'm on. It's working or it's not. So it's actually hard not to hear it. It
Mhm.
actually becomes harder not to hear that intuitive side of you when you practice it every single day. And people ask me a lot, they're like, how do you do that? I go, you can even do funny things. If I said to you, okay, am I holding something that's black, or if I'm holding something that is green, right? And a lot of times people go, I don't know. I'm telling you, check it. And you'll always be right, because if you really listen to your message, you're going to say, oh, she's holding something that's got like green, blue, right? Or did she have the black? It's goofy because it sounds like it's kind of gimmicky. But the truth is, when you actually can start trusting those little tiny signs or messages, you can trust the bigger things. So now when
Mhm.
you're driving down the road and you get this message like, hey, listen, or this hunch or this intuition that says turn left, and you're like, no, that's not the pattern I'm supposed to go. And you do, and you listen to it, you find out later, wow, it saved me like an hour's worth of time because I would have been stuck in traffic. And you didn't know why you turned left, but you listened to it. So those little things, I've been doing it 30 years, so it builds with me, right? So it's
Mhm.
there for me. But a lot of times, even when you're just starting out, like I said, try the little gimmicky things, because you're going to know after a while, oh, that's what that quiet whisper is. It becomes very loud.
Mhm.
So to the point that I was even making to you, you're going to know your best friend's voice, boom, right there, your spouse's or your child's, because it's a part of you. Your instincts, your intuition, it's a part of us. And sometimes we've quieted to, or we turned it off because of traumas. We can talk about negative ancestral patterns and traumas that come on. We quiet it so much that we don't even listen anymore. And we're like, I don't know what to do. And we let that humanity mind chatter and all the challenges that we have in our everyday life take over. And
Mhm.
especially when we're raising children or we're trying to work a job and take care of ourselves, all of those things. The world gets so loud that we have to have our inner voice, our intuition be louder than that. So
That's
those are
not
just,
easy
yeah, no,
for
but
to be
to my
doing.
point, it
Yeah.
really isn't easy in the beginning.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
honestly, the more you do it, it's almost hard not to hear. In fact, we
Hmm.
have a lot of people in our world now that are so ultra sensitive. You've heard of that, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's because what's happened is they started listening and they started allowing, to the point where that's actually louder than this. And it's harder to not walk in a room and not sense that, to not, you're almost overwhelmed by the amount of, I'll call it like human gunk, human vibration, human challenges, humanity that is louder sometimes than, I'm sorry, that is actually coming in. And your instincts, your intuition, your sensitivity, your intuitive, a woman's intuition, that's louder than any of that. And it's harder to, I would say, like, it's harder to match that vibration. And you have to calm it down and really take away the judgment that we might have about the situation or ourselves. So, judgment is the killer of higher consciousness. So, judgment stops us
Mhm.
from actually hearing our own messages. And
Boy. Yeah.
I work a lot about that. So discernment is about the facts. Judgment of others or yourself is about wanting separation. And that's how you know the difference if you're getting facts or you're wanting separation.
Oh,
Man, I
interesting.
could go on and
Okay.
on.
Oh,
Whatever you want
yes.
to talk about is what I
Yeah.
want to talk about. This is my favorite subject,
Yeah,
obviously.
there's so many routes we can go.
Yeah, we could.
I do want to tap into some of that ancestral
Ancestral
patterning
patterns.
that you
Yeah.
just talked about in trauma.
Okay.
How is that playing
So yeah, so
into
let
it?
me tell you, I call them negative ancestral patterns. Okay.
Okay.
And what happened to me, I'm an educator, right? So I came into this not to actually do it for people, but to educate people about how to use their intuition. And the reason why I did that is because I wanted people to be accountable for their own lives, right? Not just to have me to be the end all be all, right? I didn't
Mhm.
want them to get dependent on my abilities. I wanted them to walk away with their own ability, their own toolbox, their own set of tools to hold their alignment, right? And to be personally accountable for what they're creating. So over the years, it was really how it was developed for me is I noticed with clients, I was probably 10 years ago, maybe I had developed a lot of courses and I was about 20 years into it. And I went, wow, you know what I'm noticing is it came actually when I watched how I believe it was Whitney Houston, how she died. And then there was a pattern that was the same. And I'm like, what's going on? And then I started doing a little research on, wow, there's a lot of people that have the same patterning. And there's a lot of judgment that's around the way in which they are living. So addiction, mental illness, anxiety, depression, incarceration, people that are like, those are heavy hitters that we premature death, people dying early, like really young, right? So she was one where I went, how that's crazy that she had that happen and her daughter had the same thing. And so I checked in with my own inner wisdom and there's got to be a teaching in this. What is this about? And that's where that started coming true. And so then once I opened the door, then I just get flooded with all kinds of incredible practical tools that will help us in our humanity, not to get swept into the same stuff that other people have before us have done. And so that's when that came about. And now the way I teach it is negative ancestral patterns. So it also happened with a client of mine where she came in and she was really pissed off and judging about her ex-husband. And I said, okay, I go, she was like, my ex-husband, he's an addict, he's this, and she just never, infidelity, like everything you could have, she was judging about him. And I said, hold on a second. I said, let me tell you, in the teachings that I have received and that I know is negative, because obviously they're not positive, they're negative, and they come through the ancestral line. I said, do you have children? And she said, I do. And I said, we have to remove the judgment from the ex. It doesn't mean you put up with it. It doesn't mean, but you can't have judgment about it. That's the difference. You have to be willing to say, hey, listen, that's just not the experience I want to have. I hope you get healing. I want that for you. But you know how when you have the animosity where you want something negative to happen to someone, that has to be transformed, because otherwise it's an indicator for spirit, God, source, universe, whatever you call it, to actually bring that lesson back into your life again.
Interesting.
So if we are judging it, it's almost like the red flag that says, hey, she hasn't really learned how to not judge it and to have true unconditional love. It's not natural for us to have unconditional love for somebody that we're upset with, right? And it doesn't mean I have to have it for you, but I have to be neutral. I can't have judgment around you, or I won't hear my own messages about how to help you. Does that make sense? And that goes with any family member too. So when you cut off the ex, that's infidelity, lying, cheating, an addict, all the negative things, if you have children, that pattern's going to come through them. And the reason why it's going to come is because you haven't learned not to judge it. So when it comes through them, we have a different level of acceptance, right? You don't want to push your child away. You don't want to go, oh, trust me, when I first did this, everybody was like, I don't like this. I don't like this. And I said, watch it, look at it. I go, I guarantee you, if you look at your life, even right now, and you looked at the list of ancestral patterns that I put out there, you'd go, oh, I pick and choose which one, and I can see it going through my family lineup. But so let's say a great grandparent had addiction and then it passed down and the next generation didn't, but they had addiction in a different area. Maybe they had addiction in their area of relationship and the other one had an addiction in finance. So do you see where it switches up? You never get rid of it. So that's the bad news. The good news is when you understand it. So let's say it's infidelity, right? And you find out, yep, the grandparent had infidelity. And the parent maybe didn't have it because they were in relationship with their whole life. Everything was wonderful, but there was infidelity maybe in their health. They were unfaithful to their own health. So do you see where it can switch around to different areas in our lives? And so what I teach about 6 different areas, and we don't have to go into all those, but those 6 areas are the main 6 areas that we actually get affected, right? So relationship, finance, support, time, I have 6 of them, right? Health, anyway. All of those, once you remove the judgment of the negative ancestral pattern as just that it is, it no longer has a hold of you. It no longer resonates within you, and you have a different level of being able to be effective in healing it. And like I said, I went a little quick on that, but this client, when she was really bashing the ex-husband, I said, hold on, we really got to work on that first, because I didn't come here to work on that. And I said, but I'm telling you, you came here to talk to me about the issues that you're having with your child, which was a teenager at the time. And I'm like, that teen is actually just because it's in your ancestral lineup, you're going to have more leeway, I guess, with the teenager, but you're still going to have the same amount of problem, except you're not going to judge that person and want separation from them, right? You want to help them. And we have to recognize it as a negative ancestral pattern and release the energy around it and just go, okay, this just is. And then we can effectively make changes with it. You know this, you probably felt where somebody's judged you so bad that you feel separate from them. You're like, I don't feel you really want healing for me.
Yeah.
And so it separates that whole, right?
Yeah.
That whole indicator of how do we find healing when somebody's doing that with you? If it's something that we know that we can effectively set aside and say, hold on, I'm going to have discernment. You have the same issue than grandpa did, or you have the same issue than your dad did, and we're divorced now. So we need to see the pattern to recognize it, remove the judgment, meaning the separation and all the nastiness that we have around it, and just discern the same patterns there. And I
Hmm.
had this in my own life. That's really why that concept came up too, is I noticed it all in my family and went, wow, it can switch around. So sometimes people are like, does it ever go away? I go, no, it goes away. It takes a couple different ancestral lines for it to fully remove, but it has to be removed with no judgment around it. And people are like, how do you do that? You have respect for it, you have healing for it, but you can't judge it. And then you take action accordingly. So there's a difference in taking action with somebody, let's say, let's use infidelity, right? If you're just like, listen, if you ask anybody that's been unfaithful, this is a true story. I guarantee you, and I'd be interested to hear some of your listeners too. You ask somebody that did it, you ask somebody that was unfaithful themselves, they'll tell you it really had nothing to do with the other person. If they're being accountable, if they're really being honest, it had something to do with them and the insecurity they were feeling and what they needed, that felt they needed. It really doesn't have to do with the other person. So if they're being honest, they're actually in need of that healing. And we take it like they've done it to us, when in fact, they really did it to themselves and then they were unfaithful to the commitment. So if you can see it in that discerning way, it takes it out of being personal. If you have this issue, but I don't want to be married to somebody that doesn't want to heal that.
Yeah.
So I've had clients, I've had both types. I've had clients that come and say, hey, listen, we know that this is an issue. I want to heal it. I'm being straight up. What do we need to do? And I've had marriages that have had that in their past and have healed it,
Hmm.
never for it to come up again. And I've also had ones that they don't want to do anything about it. They don't want to admit it. They don't want to take ownership, and they've split up. So it's not really about the infidelity. It's about the wound that we all have as human beings, because I don't know anybody, including myself, that doesn't have them. It's a matter of, are you going to take responsibility and accountability for it in order for us to actually heal it?
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
totally.
Well, I've just laid a lot on you.
Yeah, no, it's a ton. And it's, oh, judgment, man. That's like a big thing in my world. It's like this
Yeah.
judging that comes up and it's,
Yeah.
oh, and half the
And it
time I'm
never will
like,
go away, Lisa. So a lot
yeah.
of people go, what? It's not that we're judging, it's that we're not recognizing and shifting it. Because we
Hmm.
probably judge ourselves included 10 times before you get out of the house.
Yeah.
But it's a matter of checking in and going, hold on, I'm in my own judgment. I
Hmm.
want separation from, I don't like the way my hair looks, or I don't like this, or it's a matter of taking responsibility for, I'm in it. And now I can receive that because I'm recognizing it. It's the first step. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the first step. I feel like, how do people start recognizing some of these patterns? Because it's not that easy to do. If there are people, yes, there's an addiction or infidelity, those are
Those
blaring.
are pretty big. Those are pretty,
That's,
yeah,
but
everybody's like,
maybe
those
the
are big.
simpler
You know,
things,
well, and a lot of
maybe.
people ask me, they go, how do you think? Because on my list, I have a whole list of them, right? That over the years I developed, oh gosh, I don't even know how many there is, but I really, incarceration is one of them. People are like, what? How
Yeah.
is that? And I go, look at it.
Yeah.
Poverty's one. So
Mm.
you have you'll have patterns in an ancestral lineup where people have been on welfare. They've been in poverty, and it took two or three, took two
Yeah.
rungs down before they healed it, or incarceration.
Mm.
Because really, when somebody's there, those are heavy ones, right? Those are easy to see. But what
Yeah.
about arrogance? What
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
naivety?
Yeah.
Those look, oh, I'll take that one. I'll take it, naivety over incarceration. But listen, what they're really about, it's here to teach us. Naivety
Mhm.
is here to teach us that you are actually allowing something to happen, and you're choosing not to take ownership for you have a boundary that you're letting being crossed, and it can be very
Mhm.
deadly, right? So can incarceration. And it can also be an incredible teacher. You
Yeah.
can actually, so
Yeah.
all of these are coming to us in order to teach us about ourselves. And if we didn't judge it and we just owned it and went, oh yeah, that is there,
Yeah.
you'll have a different view of it. You'll be able to see it easily. Arrogance is one. And people go, arrogance. Why would you put that on a negative ancestral pattern? And I go, watch it. Look at the arrogance of some family members, that they're so arrogant they can't even hear their own wisdom. So it's anything that will stop the flow of you hearing your own internal guidance, so that you can actually heal and grow and teach and contribute in a place where you're living your life purpose.
So how to best identify these? So these more like everyday ones that are
Mhm.
not as blaring to us. How,
Right.
what, like maybe in your program, how do
Yeah.
you start with identifying what these are that we can start healing?
We actually, it's hard. I actually you select 6 of them.
Mhm.
What happens is in the program that we have, I told you about the 6 areas. So there's finance, time, health, support, wisdom, and time.
Yeah.
And those 6 main areas, what will happen is when I'm going through the program, I'm looking at the list and I go, "Ooh, hold on. Okay." And you ask, we're working with one of my trainers, right? And they're actually helping guide you through it. Or you could do it as self-study, because if you went through it, Lisa, you'd go through the list and you go, yeah, I don't have incarceration, I don't have this, I don't have that. Or you'd go, yes, I do. You can't deny that. If you have family members that have been incarcerated and neither learned it or didn't, right? Learned what they needed to heal, because incarceration can actually help you to heal if you apply it. If you don't and you keep repeating it, you got to watch that next generation. Molestation is one of them. And
Mhm.
people go, molestation? I go, yeah, I had molestation. It was down the lineup. And I had to openly talk about it with my grandkids, my children and my grandkids, so that I can educate them to go, hey, this might happen in your life. And it doesn't necessarily always have to be sexual, it can be molestation of energy.
Mhm.
So you're educating people about what you're owning. And what happens when you take this course is you actually pick 6 of them and you put them in the areas that would affect you. So if you naivety, let's say, or superiority or arrogance, those are some of the different ones. Mental illness. We've had some that have mental illness, learning difficulties. People go, how is that a negative ancestral pattern? I go, because if you look at the family lineup, you'll see people that have learning disabilities or learning difficulties that have had to modify the way in which they function. And most of the time, people are like, how is that anything that is human is a pattern.
Mhm.
Anything that is ancestral is goes through the ancestral line, and it's negative because you've experienced it negatively. I'm not saying it's negative, but our experience of it is negative. It looks like if you say poverty, you can see the negativity in that, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes people don't see it when you see learning difficulties or learning disability.
Yeah.
Talk to somebody that has it, and they'll tell you it was negative for them, right?
Mhm.
It was a negative experience until they learned how to actually cope with it and do something with it. But for mental illness, it was such a huge, people are like, oh my gosh, that's something you don't even talk about it. It was absolutely a negative ancestral pattern. But if you look at it, then you have the ability to heal it. So the main thing, and to your point, obviously in my courses, I have them all listed out and I have where you select them and you place them in the area. And then it gives you a different level of awareness. And you'll pick 6 that I probably wouldn't pick, or you and I might have some of the same, but you'll go through the list and go, yeah, that doesn't resonate. Oh,
Mhm.
this one resonates, because I will actually have, I can see it in my family lineup. And then people go, why would you experience that as negative? Depression's one of them, right?
Mhm.
Because you can see where that can be very, a lot of times people go depression and addiction, and we judge more than we do depression, right? We
Yeah.
think this one's out of our control and this one's, or even molestation, because it looks like I'm the victim of something
Mhm.
that happened to me. And what I'm saying to people is, I wouldn't say that I'm a victim of that. It's a circumstance that happened to me that, of course, not healthy. I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form that a child isn't a victim of that. But we're a victim of all of those things when until we take it and we actually are willing to say, okay, now what do I do with this? Because honestly, Lisa, if I had to be a victim of the person that molested me, that means he's the victor. And I
Mhm.
don't believe that. Nobody's going to be the victor, because I'm not a victim. I learned from it. I can speak of it. I can teach from it. I can help people because I went through that. But he's not my victor. So
Mhm.
that, though I'm not a victim either. That what I'm talking about. So it's touchy. I'm a little bit, some of my subjects are a little strong, but yeah, because I want the real deep healing. And I'm
Mhm.
okay with being that person that's willing to say it like that, where most people maybe won't do that. But all of those are in there. And, you look at the list, you pick out what you go, that resonates with me. And then you're aware of it all the time. So again, I'm not going to hide the molestation. I'm going to speak of it. And I can
Mhm.
assure you, had my grandmother or great grandmother spoke of it, it would have had me be in a different position, and it
Mhm.
probably would have stopped. Not that
Yeah.
I blame anybody for it. It's that hiding. It's that part of us that don't want to own it.
Yeah. And it
Yeah.
goes back to doing our own work.
Yes,
Then
ma'am.
we'll change it for our kids
Yeah.
and yeah, the
Yeah.
next
Well, it
generations,
changes
right?
it. Like I said, for me, it's my kids and then my grandkids. I'm already 2 rungs
Enriching.
down trying to help the grandkids, making sure that they're owning it for themselves too. Anything you bury or anything you're ashamed of or you hide or you have any kind of, it will resurface. And the reason why it does is because we're burying it. We're shameful of it. We think it's something, there's nothing for me to be ashamed of that I had molestation in my family. It's what happened. And for me, I go, okay, now how do we correct this? No different than having shame around addiction. Most of us don't have, but think of this. Do we have shame when we see somebody arrogant in our family? Yeah, we actually we're like, ooh, they're really boastful. They're really right. So they all affect us the same. They all have a negative.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all
Are
leave
there
that negativity.
positive things that are also passed down in a
Oh
similar
my
way?
gosh,
Because I know
yes,
we
so
have like
many.
negative, we're talking very negative ancestral
Yes,
traits, but are
yes,
there positive ones that are passed down
yes.
in the same, but we don't have to necessarily deal with them because they're
Well,
positive?
the only reason why I don't have it is because I'm working on what helping us heal
Yeah.
with our own negativity and our darkness. But yeah, brave, somebody who's
Hmm.
brave, courageous, there's a lot of wonderful, beautiful, positive, in fact, kindness and all of them. I never have created one of those because truthfully, when you remove the negative ancestral pattern, all of your positive traits come out, everything that is already there. And I also have a course called Seven Human Roles, and it really talks about who we are in our roles and how we show up for people. One of mine is bold. Well, bold could be arrogant if I'm not careful, right?
Yeah.
So if I had arrogant and mine was bold, it would be overpowering for someone. And so, those positives, as long as it's not being filtered through a negative wound,
Mm.
everything else positive shows up because we
Yeah.
are really positive by nature. That's who we are and genuinely.
Is that the goal? Is that the
Yeah.
goal?
To
I'm
be
just thinking
ourselves,
because
not
it's a beautiful
positive
thing
to be ourselves
to
because
be
it's,
yourself, no
yeah,
matter what that means. Yeah.
whatever it looks like, whatever it looks like. If you're really being genuine and you're being yourself and you're being authentic, you're connected. You
Mhm.
have a sense of freedom to be connected to the inner soul of who you are and what you came here to do and what your life purpose is.
Yeah. And
Does
I
that make
think
sense?
totally. I think it's hard to find though that full authentic you, especially in parenthood. Like we have a lot of parents listening to
Yeah.
this podcast and you're so in it. And sometimes it's
Yeah.
hard to get your head above water. We're in a different situation, right? Your kids are older,
Yeah. My kids,
you've got
I'm kind of
grandkids,
past that
the
part. Yeah.
fun
When my
time.
grandkids come over, I'd set everything aside. So I can set that aside for a
Yes.
weekend, but not as a parent. And I think that one of the biggest things, and I have a lot of clients that are parents, and I got to tell you, especially trying to make it work together, a lot, it becomes so you got to be careful that, and I'm going to say it, I don't want it to sound stereotypical because I don't mean it in this way. It's just my experience. But there's a lot of times when one parent, again, mostly the female, will go, I'm here for the kids. And they forget that there's a partner that's here. And then there starts to be things that start happening that are negative, and you got to blame the person that is closest to you, that is in the game with you, and it usually goes to the other partner. Now, again, it's not necessarily has to be male or female. It just sometimes is. And what I will say is that the first thing I'd tell them is, look at, are you still fighting? And they go, yeah, again, that's why we're here. And I go, good. Because when you stop fighting, you're actually, the worst thing you can do is to have, when you don't care anymore, when you have indifference.
Yeah.
That's usually when they're headed for separation or divorce, right? So if there's a fight in you, then that means the passion, you're still fighting for the connection and what you want. Now, I don't want you to be destructive with it. We don't want to be hurtful, but it's good if you have the fight. Now start looking within yourself and saying, okay, what are some of the patterns, the negative ancestral patterns that we're playing out? And one of them can be is you're actually over giving to the children in a way that, I know it sounds weird, but you have to make time for yourself. We've all heard the date night thing, and like it's a cliche thing, but I'm telling you, when you lose the passion of who you're partnering with, the children watch that. And there's
Hmm.
no child that wants to be the most important person in the room. You think they do, but when they are, it's a lot of pressure. Think about your parents. If you were like the most important thing and they didn't connect with each other, there's a lot of pressure on you to
Yeah.
actually keep them together or make sure that they're okay. And it's a weird dynamic and it kind
Mhm.
of messes with us. So the first thing I have couples do is really work on this in order for you to know what patterns that you're passing down so that you can then help your children. And
Mm.
it's hard because half the time we're like, we have to take them to this and we have to do that. And my first thing I say is, no, you really don't. You can actually stop the whole family and say, hey, we're in a little bit of crisis here. We're having a hard time. We got to all back up a bit and find what the value is of this family unit and why are all of our souls brought together here
Mm.
to do. Now, some people go, you can't say that to a 2-year-old. And I'm like, the 2-year-old really remembers what
I
we're
was
brought
gonna say
together.
they're probably the
Yeah,
most
they
open.
are.
Like, yeah, like,
Yeah,
what are we here
exactly.
for, mom? Yeah,
Teenagers
exactly.
are probably more work. If you sit
Yeah.
down with the teenager and you're willing to say, hey, listen, we've got to figure out a way that we're all getting nourished in this family unit. This isn't just
Hmm.
about who we're being for you. So
Yeah.
self-nourishment is huge,
Yeah.
huge. You cannot function and you cannot even be a good parent without taking care of yourself first. What does that look like?
Hmm.
In a selfish way, I'm not speaking in that way. I'm just talking about real, truly helping yourself to sometimes you have to stop. Maybe you stop the whole family for a week. Nobody's going anywhere. Nobody's doing anything. We're not fulfilled. My first thing is, oh, we have a birthday party to go to. I have to get the kids the present. I have, no, you don't. Yes, I
Yep.
do.
People
No,
will
you don't have to
live.
go to the party. You don't have to go to this. You really don't.
Yeah.
Stop, freeze for a second, and then let's get back to what really matters and then pick and choose what is feeding us. How many times have you think about this? How many times have you really gone, did I go to that thing and did it fill me up?
Yeah.
Sometimes you're like, no, this was
Hmm.
an obligatory thing that I did, and it just strips you of your passion of the soul. Well, our kids have the same thing. When they go, I don't want to go to school. It's okay. If you really don't, let's see what that looks like. You ever tested it with them?
Mine
They
has
might
had
like it for a while, but then they're like,
yeah.
I'm bored to death. I
True.
it did that to us, right?
Yeah.
My grandkids were
Although
like,
I
oh my
had a
God.
few like thrivers in COVID, so I don't
That's
know.
true. That's
Mine
true.
would be fine staying
Yeah.
home.
But
One of,
honestly,
yeah,
then if you think like you just said, one of them, and I
one of.
love that because maybe that was what you needed to give them permission to go, okay, how do we educate you differently then? Maybe that's the kid that has to be educated differently. Look at our school system doesn't fit everybody. Neither does our work environment. That's why we all
Hmm.
do it differently, right?
Yeah.
So why it was there to awaken us to we got to change some things, people. Like not everybody, this isn't a cookie cutter thing. Not everybody's the same. I have people because my programs are all online. You can take them online. Then you do a video conference with my trainer and with the not my trainer, with the company's trainers. And what happens is they are my trainer because they trained with me, but it's an extension of creating an opening and people are like, you can't really, Zoom doesn't really do it. And I go, oh, sure it does. You and I could meet in person and it could be, or it could be animated and engaging. That's about me. You're
Mhm.
not going to have any more of me if I was sitting in your office or if you were sitting in mine than what I'm giving you right now. So it's
Mhm.
really about how we interact. And some people, it really is healthier for them because they have too much. I told you about the sensitivity and the vibration of, oh, it's too much. They get in sensory overload. How many kids do we have? That's the truth for. And I love that you said one kid, maybe one not. Why aren't we looking at different ways to help them to be more of themselves? Not a cop out, because that's different, but a real, true look at genuinely, authentically, what do we need?
Yeah. And I
Right?
love that because I think the time period is changing so much from when we were kids, our kids, and then the
Yes.
next generation, what's really there. But I think it's like there are such paths, whether it's us like going to that 9 to 5 job and that's what
Yes.
you're supposed to do, or kids have to go to this type of school and that's it. And like, I would say most people don't actually fit into those boxes
They really
at
don't.
all. They
Yeah.
just think they do because if you can skimmy yourself in there and
Yeah.
make it out alive and feel okay about yourself, then you've fit in and you've survived and you're okay. And then,
Sometimes more damage is done trying to fit in and
right,
survive it. So
right.
you really have to be able to, and again, every child has to be, some people parent out of the way they were parented.
Yeah,
Why are you doing, I'll ask couples, why are you doing that?
yeah,
When my family, they were really strict. So I'm really open-minded. I go, hold on, you might need a kid that needs that needs that
yeah.
strictness. So
Mm,
just because the wound came from you of how you were raised doesn't mean you just pass that down. You have to
right.
really evaluate and go, what do they need? How do
Yeah.
we have to restructure this?
And then bringing it back to ourselves. What
Oh,
do we
100%.
need? Right? What do we need?
To your point, what do we need? If we're even looking at what they need, first we look at what they need, but you had to have already looked at yourself.
Mm,
Don't you think, in order for you to be an evolved parent that actually cares about what's going on, we're not trying to just make it good for them. If you're doing that, you're doing it from a wound of your own. So if you look
mhm.
at yourself and you put that oxygen mask on yourself first and say, hey, listen, the flight tells you to put it on you first before you help the child. There's a reason for that because you have to have the strength and the nourishment to give to a child. Ask any parent that has depleted themselves. Yeah,
Yeah.
we got to start putting in ourselves in a, again, when somebody's doing it selfishly. We all do, right? We all know when you've gone overboard or when you're like, okay, now you're really milking it here, or you're really trying to actually put that energy back into your own heart and your own soul so that you can be there for someone else. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Important.
Sure. What are some things people can do? Are there little exercises or things they can start doing to help
Yeah.
really be that
So
authentic self?
obviously we've talked about this. The curriculum takes you through different
Sure.
modules that
Yeah.
take you through that. But let's just take you out of context. If you don't do any of the work that I do, if
Mhm.
you start with the first thing, which is when you know your own patterns, right? So when you know, how am I functioning out of, if you could stop yourself, let's say the first thing you say is, if you could stop yourself going, ooh, I want separation. Okay, that means you're judging someone. So take a beat, take some deep breaths, go, okay, I'm really looking for the inner guidance. I really want to hear my own messages of how I can remove this. Sometimes it's having a conversation with the person. Hey, listen, I got to have an open conversation with you. I've been in judgment about XYZ, right? So you can start there. The other is if you're judging yourself. That's when you start doing a little bit of a self-evaluation. What are the things that I'm forcing myself to do? Because that's usually where self-judgment comes in, is that
Mhm.
we honestly, Lisa, we're forcing ourselves to get up and do this, and everybody goes, I have to. And I go, no, you really don't. A lot of people don't. You can, if one day you just call in, if you did it every day, obviously that's a pattern. That's a
Mhm.
negative pattern, right? But if you really go, hey, I literally can't get myself out of bed because I'm doing too many things that are just not good for me, obligation will strip you of your own passion. So that's another thing that you could stop and, okay, what this week, what am I doing that's obligatory? And what is it that I really want to do? And so deciding which one, and removing some of the obligations first. That's going to give you more energy, more breath into your own being. So that's a good thing to do. Really working, I call it your truth, hurt, anger, numb. So when you're living in your truth, you're in your authentic self. Okay. When you know that you have dropped into your hurt feelings and you don't do anything about them, the next one is you drop into your anger and then you don't do anything about it. And then you drop into numb. And so this is in the very first thing I teach is about, it's called the van. Really regulating your emotions that way and going, okay, hold on. When XYZ happened, I dropped into my hurt, didn't do anything about it, didn't say anything. So really own that, having that clearing conversation before it drops into anger. Because now by the time you get into anger, you have now escalated things. And then the worst case is when you drop into numb, because numb is where we're more despondent. We're farther away from our own truth.
Mhm.
But we can sit in that. That's the day that you're like, okay, I'm on day 10 and I don't even know what I did yesterday or the 5 days ago. It's like
Mhm.
there's no juice in life anymore. So stopping yourself and really diving deeper into a self-evaluation. Take the time to do it. Some
Yeah.
people say to me, I don't even have any time in the day. And I go, you do though. Everybody
Mhm.
goes to the bathroom and I don't know anybody that follows you in, even if you're at a work environment. Nobody follows you to the bathroom. So you can stop, wash your hands, kind of spritz some energy water over you and go, okay, I'm going to take a minute and
Mhm.
just breathe in life and go, what do I want? What's the next right move for me to take? So getting
Mhm.
present to your own self.
Yeah. Yeah. The shower, pickups and
That was a
cars.
great one. I
Those
love
are
it.
great. Yeah. Nobody
Yeah.
wants to see mama naked. So
No,
it's
no,
like
right?
perfect place.
No.
Bathroom, I feel like people
I,
could walk in
I
on.
was
I'm
just
not gonna
gonna say,
lie.
I'm talking about maybe working moms or mamas
Yes,
that,
yes.
when you have a little one hanging on your pant leg here and going, I need to come in. Basically teaching them that everybody needs to have time.
Mhm.
Everybody needs space. And you know what? I need a moment.
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah. And maybe sometimes they're like, I don't like screens and I don't like this. And I go, yeah, but if you're gonna lose it, having somebody take 10 minutes have somebody on a screen for 10 minutes so you can replenish, that's healthy.
Yeah,
Having
totally.
them using it as a babysitter clearly is not. But
Yeah.
if you're an evolved being that's trying to do something, you're not doing that anyway.
So
Right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Cutting
don't
yourself
know.
a break in the middle of a day,
Yeah, I love
do it for
those.
yourself
And
sometimes. Yeah.
sure. I used to have pause days. So
Oh, I like
I
that.
always worked throughout my kids, but
Yeah.
so it was nice because I could get lunch and breathe. However, sometimes you're tired, right? And so I
Yeah.
would just have pause days. And so I pass that down to, and that just
Oh,
means that I might take off of work fully. Kids are in
yeah.
school, it didn't matter. It
Yeah.
was just almost like a mental health day.
How you can't take a day for yourself is, I couldn't even
Yeah.
imagine you functioning. Of course you have to have that.
Yeah, of course. And I let
Maybe
my
even,
kids do the same, honestly.
yeah.
They'll say, "Can I have a mental health day?" And I
Uh,
prefer that because I always feel like then my kids don't get sick because they've taken a
Agreed.
day, they're learning to pause. They know they can't do it all the time, but you get it when you really need it.
Yeah.
And then it's teaching you that you do. You need to reset, recharge, and then see what you really want
And
to go
one of
back
the
to.
things I guess I'll leave it with is, so confrontation, right? Look at the word confrontation. The word confront is in that, right? So when we don't confront something that is really needed for us,
Mhm.
confrontation comes next.
Yeah.
Nobody likes confrontation,
No.
not for ourselves. We don't like it coming at it, going out from us. But if you're not confronting it, it's inevitable. It's going to happen. So I'm really a big
Yeah.
believer in, let's confront the stuff that is nobody wants to talk about. Even if your
Hmm.
family meetings, if you have them sitting down and going, okay, we're going to have a confront, we're going to have something we're going to all confront. What is it that you don't really want to confront because you're afraid of the response? Let's talk
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, that's a great point. If you don't, oh, it will come around. It's not
It
going to
always
just
does.
go away and it'll be much worse.
Think of
Yeah.
anything that you've had a confrontation
Yeah,
with.
so true.
It's something that you in the past did not confront.
Yeah, totally. Tell us what you offer and where the listeners can find you.
Yeah, listen, lynnmbunch.com. So it's my name, lynnmbunch.com. Just go to that. You'll see under programs, it has all of the programs listed. It tells you my whole history of the concepts of them. They can learn all kinds of different things if they're, and you can take one module, you can take the whole, I have 10, you can take one or 10. However, whatever it's developed for a work on your own. So a work at your own pace. We do have when you purchase one, you actually get a certified trainer that works it just like I'm doing with you on a video conference. How do I want to say this? I'm not the only person doing things, clearly. So you have to know whether or not I resonate with you. If you're like, hey, I really like the stuff she said, check out the programs. If it's not, just hopefully something that I've said fulfills you and gives you a little bit of something like, oh, I remember that lady said this on Lisa's program. It don't make it, I don't have the only answer. I just have something that I literally 30 years ago started doing, and I'm as passionate today as I was 30 years ago. So if
Mhm.
I'm resonating with you, check me out. I'd love to work with people. Willingness is like the most incredibly, it's so valuable. And I don't think we talk about it as much. So if you have a child, you have a spouse, you have even an interaction with your work, if there's an unwillingness on the other side, you can feel it, right? Yeah. So really wait for you to feel willing to do something and not have it be pushed or have it be contrived and really looking at people and go, are they willing to hear what I have to say? Like that to me is so important, and it will change the way that we interact on a daily basis. If we did that, if I saw that you were willing to hear what I had to say, I'm not going to be all jazzed about it. It's not my thing, it's in your best interest and mine that you don't do it. You don't follow through. Right. So I think if we take on life a little bit more like that, instead of always wanting to push something down somebody's throat or tell them I have the way or you should follow what I'm doing, gosh, it's such a detriment to our own spirit, our own soul.
Yeah. And I love that willingness because
Yeah.
it's just even just what are you willing to do?
What
What do
I
you want to do?
Yeah.
To just make it feels good to do the
Yeah.
things that
Yeah, it
you
really
are
does.
willing to do, like you're
Are you
excited
willing to?
for.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
And
great question. Are you
Lisa,
willing
I
to?
have a monthly event that I do that it's more collaborative with people so they can get on. That's a free event. If you want to feel a taste of different people
Mhm.
that is this for me, you can get on that event. It's one that I do on the third Wednesday of every month. So that's on my website, all of that. And anything that I can do I want to contribute in the world as best I can. And I want to help people that again are willing to look at themselves because we have to look at ourselves. We can't keep pointing the finger at other people. And
Yeah.
I'm a human being. I falter. I don't have anything done perfectly, but I can tell you that I'm always willing to look. And that's hard, but it's also essential to growth and healing.
Thank you so much for sharing all your information, your knowledge, allowing us to look at things a little differently from a different perspective, and hopefully maybe cut out some of those ancestral patterns
Oh
that we
my
know keep
gosh.
passing
Okay,
down.
they're gonna be there. Remember what I said? They're not going anywhere, but they don't have to be activated.
Yeah.
They just have to be there and go, "Yep, that one's there, but it's not
Right.
activated." So, thank you so much
Exactly.
for having this wonderful platform to help, especially like I said, you specialize with helping parents and mothers, and I'm just so thrilled that they have you to go to because not everybody had that in the past, I guess I should say. So, good for you. Keep
Oh.
doing what you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for listening to this episode. Lynn was just so lovely in sharing all her information. If you want to learn more about her and everything that she has to offer, including her programs, just click on the link in the show notes. And until next time, keep carving out time for yourself and keep putting yourself on top of your to do list.